Good morning and welcome to the filing your annual multifamily waste reduction and recycling report online. My name is Ruth Carbonell. I'm the waste reduction and recycling program manager for multifamily properties in Montgomery County. And with me is Renee Johnson. She's one of our program specialists, recycling program specialist for Montgomery County, and she will be starting briefly her presentation, and I'm going to continue after her with a demo of a live demo of the recycling reporting system. We are going to have time to answer your questions during Q&A session at the very end. But if you have any questions that you would like to chat, put in the chat. In the meantime, while we are speaking, you are welcome to do so. Renee and I will be monitoring the chat, and hopefully we can answer all your questions. Okay, without further ado, I'm gonna invite Renee Johnson to help us. And somebody says that they cannot hear me. Can you hear me well, Renee?
Yeah, I can hear you, Ruth.
Okay. Okay, I'll speak louder then. So we're gonna invite Renee Johnson to start the presentation. And as I said earlier, please use the chat feature to ask any questions or to raise any concerns. Thank you.
All right, Ruth, thank you for the housekeeping. Thank you all for everyone that's here today. This is going to be a very important instruction because we have a new system this year. So please just stick with us for the next hour. And like Ruth said, put any of your questions in the chat. All right. So Montgomery County's Executive Regulation 1-15 essentially requires this report. So what this report does is, we gather property contact information, we gather the weights and the volumes from all of the materials that was collected over the previous calendar year. We're looking for all of the information from 2025. And essentially what we're looking for is a description of what you did with all of your required materials. So mixed paper, commingled, Christmas trees, yard trim, trash, and scrap metal. So on the report, there's an area where you can describe, some of your efforts as far as educating residents on how to recycle those materials, any description of any waste reduction activities that may have taken place on site, like any events that you had in terms of, maybe having a presentation or having us come out and do a table to educate your residents. This is the place where we kind of gather all of that information. And then the last thing is we need a signature of the responsible party. Typically, that's the property manager or the owner. And this just states, okay, everything I've reported is true, it's factual. And like I said, this is mandatory and it's due every year on February 1st. So oftentimes, people are confused on what we mean when we say commingled or mixed paper. So commingled is essentially just saying your plastic, glass, and aluminum. It's not to be confused with saying all of your recyclables, which is what we call single stream recycling. Commingled is just talking about 3 different materials. So we don't want to leave out mixed paper. Mixed paper is a big portion of your recycling. So cardboard, newspaper, shredded paper. This is all required as well. Now, I mentioned single stream recycling. So again, single stream recycling means that you put mixed paper and commingled materials in the same container, which is okay. I think most multifamily properties do it that way. And actually this year on the new reporting system, we do have a section for single stream. We know that that's been asked for a few years now. So, we're very excited to offer that. So like I said, and Ruth will show you when she goes through the demonstration in the actual portal. But if that's what your property does, you all are putting glass, aluminum, plastic, and paper all in the same container. That's single stream. Now, if your property is doing dual stream recycling, that means you have one container for mixed paper only and one container for commingled items. And then scrap metal, yard trim, Christmas trees, these are all mandatory in the reporting system. So make sure you select all 5 when you are filling out your report. Now, some properties are doing voluntary items. They may be doing batteries. They may be collecting toner, ink cartridges, food scraps recycling. These are all considered voluntary. So, you don't have to report that, but if you are doing it, that is something that we really like to know. I've been asked, how do I win an award for my property? Well, this is kind of what signals to us like, oh, this property is going above and beyond. And so that's how we can kind of identify, oh, this person is doing food scraps. Well, maybe, we should nominate them this year. So this is, this report is a good place for you to share all of your efforts. Tiana and I, we visit, almost 800 properties every year. And sometimes those visits, we don't understand the nuance of everything that you all are doing. So, like I said, please use this report, enter all of the fields that you can, all of the information that you have available, just so we know what's going on. So you all should have received the checklist. The checklist is a really nice tool because it kind of frames what it is that you need to gather as far as information. So we have our website that is bookmarked directly onto the checklist. That's where you can find out how to log in, how to access our calculators. And also, we kind of go into what is single stream, what is dual stream. I know I just described it, but you can click on this hyperlink on the checklist and find out right away. We have all of the different required materials that are listed. You can click on that to see what does she mean by commingled. And then it's kind of broken up before January. Obviously, we're in January. We have only about 2 weeks left for the report, but you can still reach out to your hauler and, gather this information. So you really want to reach out to, obviously, the person that collects trash on site. So your trash hauler, whether that's a Republic or a Waste Management. And then you want to make sure that you're reaching out to your landscaper. Like I said, yard trim is a required material. So we want to know, what type of green waste was taken off site. You want to reach out to the person that handles your scrap metal, your bulk trash. These are kind of all the types of reminders that we list on the checklist, just so that when you do go into the reporting system, you have everything that you need. You can just complete it in one go. And then as well at the bottom of the checklist, you have the contact information for your recycling education specialist. So obviously myself, Renee, and then my coworker, Tiana, her information is also listed. If you guys have any questions on how to report, how to access the system, feel free to send us an email or give us a call. I answer texts. Anything that, we can help you with so everyone can get this report in on time. So just really quickly, I want to just go over the different types of containers because that is another kind of common point of confusion on the reports. So when you fill out the report, and you'll see with the walkthrough that Ruth is going to do, there are different types of container names. So some folks have compactors, and a compactor is essentially kind of crushing the trash and the recycling, and it has a much bigger volume in weight than, let's say a regular dumpster or a toter. So that's going to change the calculation by a lot. So if you have a compactor, make sure that you are distinguishing that. I know a lot of apartment buildings that have chutes. The trash kind of goes down the chute to the bottom. Typically, it's a 2-yard compactor. That's going to give a much different weight than if you put a 2-yard dumpster. And typically, when Tiana and I go out, we'll do our inspection ourselves and we can identify whether you have a regular dumpster, if you have a compactor. But it's good for you to know. So we have compactors, we have dumpsters, we have toters. Those are just like the wheeled carts. Those are usually around 90 gallons or 96 gallon, but sometimes there's smaller ones like 64. We don't expect you, to know exactly the size of the container, like, oh, this is an 8-yard or this is a 4-yard. But usually when you get a report from your trash hauler, they will identify the size of your containers. And so that is exactly the information that you're going to put into the report. And then the last container type is roll-offs. So roll-offs, they come in a 10 or 20 or 30 yards. So just indicate that in the reporting system. This is an example of our calculator. I think the calculator is a really good tool to have. I know sometimes, especially during this busy season, your hauler might not get back to you at an adequate time for you to fill out the report, and that's okay. We have this calculator here where you can estimate the pounds yourself. So if you know, hey, I have 2 2-yards and they're collected twice a week, well, you can put in the number of containers, the number of pickups, and the calculator will generate the amount of pounds that you produced in the calendar year 2025. And you can put that number directly into the reporting system. And you don't really need to, wait on Republic or Waste Management to get back to you. So we have an area to the left is for dual stream recycling. So if you have a 2-yard strictly for mixed paper, you'll use that. And then you have a 2-yard strictly for commingled, you'll use that. Or in the middle, we have single stream recycling. So if you have a 2-yard and you're putting mixed paper and commingled all in the same 2-yard, you'll use this middle area. And then the third area is for trash. And that's its own separate calculation. Again, all you need to know is the number of containers you have, the size, and the amount of pickups, and you should be able to use this calculator. We also have some voluntary items at the bottom of the calculator, as far as like batteries, toner cartridges, carpet, food scraps. These are all different things that you can kind of estimate. And then also with the yard trim, if you need to calculate grass cycling or the composting for yard trim, you do need to know the amount of green space that you have on site. So you would need to know, oh, I have this many acres, or I have this square footage of green space in order to use that part of the calculator. But again, this is, if you can't get a hold of your landscaper, this is a good tool to have. We also have a calculation for Christmas trees, and also scrap metal as well. So you can pretty much do all 4 of the required items as well as trash with the calculator. So it's a good tool. And again, this calculator can be found on our website. You can click in the hyperlink on the checklist and you'll have access to this. All right. So that was just like a kind of brief overview of, the type of information that we're looking for in the reports, the different things that you need to gather in order to report. This is kind of what our homepage looks like when you get onto our website. So we have the calculator here. We have the link for you to access our new database. And this is the screen that you will get to next. And this is where Ruth is going to actually take over and do a live demonstration of how to report in our database. But yeah, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat during the demonstration and we'll get back to you as quick as we can. I'm going to pass it to you, Ruth.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Excellent presentation.
Thank you.
So we're gonna start sharing my screen, and you guys please let me know if If you can see it, can you see it now, Renee?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oops, sorry. I'm showing something different. Do you guys see the moco testes?
Yes.
What do you think? Okay. All right. And I hope you guys all can hear me. I think at the beginning somebody said they was not able to hear me. So if you still experience that, please let us know. I'm gonna try to speak louder. So yeah, as Renee was explaining, the report has the same requirements as previous years. It just has a different look, a little bit modern, much fresh look. So we want you to realize that it's nothing new in terms of requirements. We are expecting you to provide trash, recycling, volunteer items, the name of your property, stuff like that is all gonna be exactly the same unless you started last year recycling batteries or food scraps or any other items that you didn't recycle in 2024. So this is how it's gonna look when you log in. I had already added my email and my password. So if you haven't ever reported and it's a new time, is it the first time for you reporting, you're gonna add a new report. And when you add a new report, you have to just go here where it says add new report and choose this is a multifamily property, it has more than 7 dwelling units. Yes, we contract out for recycling, and maybe you just are adding one property. You're gonna add, the name of the property. Um, And I'm just giving it a name here for the sake of the practice. I did the same with these Gardens of Heaven, and I added already some information to save time. So when you go to the business group, you just want to add the property name and the street number and all of this street name and all this data, right? This is only if you are adding a new property. You add the on-site contact information, your mailing address, contact company information, and this is very important for us. As I said in previous webinars, the property management information is very important for us in case something has changed. We need to send a requirement or something more formal, we need that information. And then this is the contact information as the person who usually is on site, or maybe somebody who is in charge of the property, the regional manager, or somebody who is managing this particular property. So that's how you would add just the new property. And I'm gonna go to a different step here to show you how it looks when you had to choose from existing properties. So we are just using here a fake account, but with some real names. So it's the same two choices, add report from existing group and add new report group, but I'm gonna show you how it should look on your end when you have already properties that you have reported before. For example, this person has all these properties in his portfolio, so he only has to choose from the properties that he wants to start reporting today. And he will, let's say he chose this Handen Square condominium, he selected and goes back here. So it should show now in his dashboard. So as you can see, you don't have to add again the business group because it's an existing property. So it's somebody who has been reported for many years, even if it's just 1 year, it should appear there in his profile, right? So you don't have to do that again. So I just wanted to show you this. So if you are doing multiple properties, you should be able to see in your first page all these properties once you select them to start reporting, okay? But now we're gonna go back to my test, the MoCo test. And we're gonna do we're gonna go one by one to see how we go about reporting. So for the business group, and this one, we're not gonna waste time there. We're gonna go with Gardens of Heaven because that one is pretty populated there. So you added your business name, you added the street number, the street name, the city, everything in here. There is a question here about total acreages of green area. And that help us to give you credit if you are doing grass cycling. So if your landscaping company is leaving all the grass clippings on the ground, then we can use this total acreages of green area to calculate your grass cycling efforts. So if you had that number, please provide this number here at the beginning, so we know exactly how to calculate your grass cycling efforts. We get a lot of questions about that, so that's why I'm spending some telling you a little bit more about that. The number of units is also important for us. That's important to know exactly how many dwelling units are in the county. After that, you just fill out the on-site contact information, your mailing address. So this is self-explanatory, so I'm not spending too much time on it. Property managers and contact information. Okay, so after you're done adding the business group, you're gonna go to this like setup, recycle and volunteer material icon, and you want to choose the required recycled materials are gonna be already chosen for you in the trash, as you see they are in gray. So it means that you must report the recycled required materials and trash. These two are mandatory. The voluntary recyclable materials, you choose to give us that information or not. Obviously, we would like for you to give us those numbers, as they will only increase your recycling rate. They will help you with your recycling rate and will help us with our efforts towards zero waste. So we would like to have as much data as we can from volunteer recyclable materials, you name it, but batteries or any CFLs, light bulbs, food scraps, clothes, anything that is voluntary for now can go in that category. So let's go back to required recycled materials. So the required recycled materials entail the single stream, which now we added this box. It wasn't there in the previous reporting system. So now we have a single stream box that is telling you, okay, this box entails everything: mixed paper, cardboard, and commingled materials. If you have in your property just one container where you dispose of all your recyclables, then you want to choose single stream. Even if you have different collection size, but you just have per collection size one container for recycling, designated for recycling. It could be multiple recycling containers, but you are mixing everything. And Renee explained this earlier as well, but I'm just making more emphasis on that. And then for dual stream, if you selected single stream, you don't want to select dual stream, right? Because you are only doing either one. But you must select scrap metal, yard trim, and Christmas trees, as those are part of the 5 categories or required categories that we require in the county. Other streams I am selecting for this example, corrugated cardboard. So let's say your property, even though they were doing single stream, they had one container just for cardboard, which is very common in some of these multifamily properties. So then you go next to recycle. I had already added the Christmas trees. So this property only had one collection, but we're gonna do one for you so you can see it. Let's say for 2025, you only had a designated area for the Christmas trees, and you didn't have any containers. So you must choose at least 0. If you don't put anything here, it's not gonna let you save. Like you see, it's a validation error. So you need to put at least 0 for the containers. Pickup times, let's say it was once a year, and you collected maybe 200 pounds of Christmas trees. The calculator that Renee was mentioning also has that data, has those calculations for Christmas trees. So you could put there and see if you can see this. Are you guys able to see the calculator, Renee?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so let's say you had here 3 Christmas trees. You see the calculator is giving you 52.8 pounds. So you can also use this calculator too, and we can provide you with a link to the calculator. Although this link is already in the website where you log in. It's right below the login boxes. So that's how, if you just give us the number of trees, we can also help you to get those numbers in. Okay. All right, so let's say you self-haul it to the Cherry Grove transfer station. So we save that. So now, let's say you did it twice, you can delete it also. You can delete one if you messed up and you forgot, oh, it's just one, I did it twice, like in my case. Corrugated cardboard, you go to the next one. So I created an example here. But it's the same dynamic. You're gonna choose here from different types: small container, hamper, dumpster, compactors, baler, roll-off. So let's say you have a dumpster and it's a 4 cubic dumpster for cardboard, and this is only for cardboard. And it's being collected once per week, right? We're gonna say that it was 2,000 pounds. For this one, we're gonna use a commercial holder. So let's say you had J and G, I, and C, right? So then you have this dumpster, and that's your information about cardboard. It could be more. If you have more different types of cardboard containers, you can add as many as you have. You can add many more. So that's safe. And now we go to scrap metal. So I have populated one example here. I'm not gonna go through this one because you already had seen how to do it. So it's exactly the same process. You add a type of container, the numbers, the frequency, and the weight. In this case, I put 0 because it's an example to show you that if you didn't have any metal in 2025, it's okay to put 0. But we need to know that you have a program in place as this is mandated. So let's say you did have, maybe in another case, you really had scrap metal, but it was collected only once on call. And maybe you only have 100 pounds. That's also good. That's also fine. Whatever was there, it doesn't matter how much was collected. What we need to know, there was a program in place. Cherry Grove Transfer Station, we're gonna say that you took it there or somebody from maintenance took it there. So that's how you add it there. And don't forget to save every single time because you may forget to save and then you lose that information. So for single stream, a lot of times, if you are using a company that is mixing everything, paper and commingled materials, then they probably are gonna just give you one big number. So that now you don't have to worry about separating that number. You can just type that number here. And in this case, I went with 2 cubic dumpsters. They had 2 containers. It's collected twice a week. And they collected 4,000 pounds, right? So you can also edit. Let's say you by mistake chose a different company that was not the right one. You can go back and fix it. Say it was J and C. You can go back and select that. You can go back and forth. Some people submit the report and they forget to add something. You can always email me and let me know, and I will be more than happy to help you fix that. It's not a problem. Yard trim. So the next one is yard trim. So let's say you have a company name Lawn Systems, just for this example, and they did composting in your property. They collected some trees, or they did some yard trim work, and they collected 2,000 pounds for on your property. So this is where you're gonna add it. You just go here, add, for instance, where it says others. You don't see composting or grass cycling here, so you need to select others and the collection method. And the collect container size, you can either choose composting or grass cycling. So previously I chose composting, but now I'm gonna choose grass cycling. Grass cycling doesn't need any container, everything is left on the ground. There were no pickup times, but they came monthly. We can say that they came once a month, or however, how many times you guys have. You're gonna put there obviously the right number. And let's say, because we already had that this property has 1 acre of green area, then we go back to the track calculator. If they didn't give you the amount of grass cycling, which is one of the main issues sometimes that you guys don't get that number, you can just type 1 acre here under yard trim, and it will give you the total amount of pounds. So this is 15,200. Okay, pounds. So that's just an estimate based on the green area that you provided to us. Oftentimes, the company that did the landscapes, they are gonna know exactly how much is, or at least an estimate, and then you just put that number in there. If they didn't get back to you, we can help you with the calculator, or you can also make the calculation right there with the calculator. Okay, so we have that grass cycling, composting. Now we go to trash. I have an example here, exactly the same way we did the other times. You're just gonna select what you have. Let's say you have a compactor, 2 cubic yard compactor. It's collected 3 times a week. And we're gonna say you have 50,000 pounds on that. And you have to hire a collector. We are using J&J for this example, right? So now you have your trash. This is also a section where you will put your bulk trash. So let's say you have bulk trash, you can choose other under the refuse collection method. And again, you choose other, and you can put here bulk trash. So we know that this is just bulk trash that was located next to the dumpsters, and you're paying additional for that bulk trash. So there were no containers. This was just items, loose items that were collected near the dumpster. But we're gonna say that this happened every month, so you're gonna put 12 times, and it was sorry, it was once per month, sorry. So it was 12 times. And we're gonna say there was 5,000 pounds. It was collected also by J&J, or you could say if you did it by yourself and you took it to Cherry Grove, that's also valid. So we just want to know exactly the total amount of pounds of your bulk trash, your trash, your recycling, and the hauler. It's very important for us to know who haul out these materials. So we're going to the waste reduction. So I have already written here some examples. So you can say things like, for instance, I conducted a paper sharing event, yard sale, and swap and meet event with assistance from the track team. So that's something that helps you to reduce waste. But you can also say we use reusable cups in the office and at all our events. Stuff like that are examples of waste reduction. This can be much, much bigger, much comprehensive. So don't feel shy. If you have more information, we would love to hear that. Like Renee said earlier, we really take into consideration these efforts when we are selecting our award winners for the Awareness Week, Recycling Awareness Week, which always happens in May. Okay, so we save here. As you can see, there is the save button on the bottom. So you want to click that, and the system will give you a message where it says waste reduction successfully saved. So then you know you can move on to the next activity. Here I chose all of them because ideally you will be doing most of these items, but let's say you're just doing like 3 times a year, that's fine. You're adding information in your newsletter. Some people do every month, which is great. Some people just do it, quarterly. That's fine too. But the idea is to have some information in your newsletters about recycling, about waste reduction, and promoting the zero waste efforts that the county is working on. So yeah, maybe you have some suggestions for us. So I wrote here bigger posters and more variety of bins or recycling bins. So anything you can think of, we read these messages and we also work on that when we are planning programs. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward. The system said that you had saved it. And next you go to submit your report. So in this case, I will just check here. I have completed my report. I hereby certify that as the designated responsible party, my property complies with Montgomery County Executive Regulation 15. Sorry, this should be 1-15, which require recycling reporting by my property and confirm that the above information is accurate. You are the responsible party, so the person who is filing the report is supposed to sign this, unless you are doing it on behalf of the property manager. But usually the person who is responsible is either the property manager, property owner, or somebody that has been assigned to this. So then you submit the report and you should be able to download or print the report or save it in your computer so you can review it later. So that's it. So now in your dashboard, you're going to be able to preview the report. So this is what I am receiving when you submit the report. So you can preview it and say, okay, I gave them the information about Christmas trees, single stream, scrap metal, everything is there. Okay. As you can see, the volunteer recyclable materials, we didn't do that because it wasn't mandatory, but you could add the same way as we added information for cardboard or yard trim, the same way you could have added batteries, recycling, or light bulbs or other materials that you are voluntarily recycling. Okay, so as you can see, you can print it here or you can save it, and that's it, basically. I would like to leave some time for questions. So I'm going to try to stop the recording soon. So that way we can move into questions. Okay. All right. Are there any questions in the chat, Renee?
There are. So one that stuck out, let's see. I'm just going to read the question directly. It says, for multifamily buildings, our property manager